James, thank you ya, thank you Chief for coming. It's a very honor to have you here. It's very interesting profile to have you ya. Jadi sekolah di SMA di Perth, kuliah di New York ya?
Ya, kuliah di New York.
Terus umur berapa sekarang umur?
Akhir 92, jadi tahun ini 31.
31 udah punya bisnis?
Udah punya bisnis ya, equity crowdfunding, fintech, ya hopefully udah
disburse
3 years. Kita banyak kan kita mostly equity ya, kita nggak pakai disburse, jadi hitungnya asset under management AUM. Over 3 years dapatnya sekitar sekarang bisa 80M. Mostly started
80M 31 tahun ya. Saya dulu ya, when I 31 ya, I think masih jauh ya. Masih jauh ya, I think
you're just being humble. Bisa jadi 31-nya masih jauh, 31-nya masih jauh, pas 32 langsung sukses. Bisa jadi kayak gitu, 31,5.
Cerita dong entrepreneurial journey-nya apa sih? Now, why you decided to become entrepreneur?
I think it's more bisa dilihatnya kerjanya kan last time after I graduated dari US. I was working, kan lulusannya di New York, lulusannya real estate, lulusannya finance communication in real estate. Pas habis itu in New York kan I kerja for a period like 6 months. Habis itu I decided to come home to Indonesia. Sebelumnya ada di corporate kerjanya di CapitaLand Indonesia.
Oh, oke.
Doing mostly real estate project. Dan habis itu kenapa decided to be entrepreneurs? I think you tend to be like mikir, do you want to be your own boss or do you want to have the flexibility? Dulu kan corporate it's very schedule-nya very restricted, right? 9 to 5, atau kadang apa, kadang masih gitu 6 or 7.
There's a plus and
minus.
Yes, yeah.
Mau ngomong plusnya dulu.
Iya, coba. Oke.
Plusnya. Setiap bulan saya nggak mau pikirin makan apa.
Oke.
Pasti dapat.
Yes.
Minusnya, saya mesti dengerin orang. Jam 9 jam 6 malam 7 masih stay di kantor.
At least kan udah secure makan gitu kan, jaga segala macam gitu loh. Sekarang kan kalau kita being entrepreneur, kita nggak cuma bikin ourselves gitu. We have to think for the team. Sometimes we have to sacrifice kan.
Benar. It's more. This is maybe the minus, but it comes with. I think it comes with risk as well, right? Kalau yang di CapitaLand, no matter how hard I work, or it's more performance jadi apa, my upside is capped, right? Capped to whatever my wages is plus bonusnya berapa. Tapi in return for that kan dapatnya kan itu sort of more or less fixed setiap bulan. Saya nggak perlu.
So become entrepreneurs is more like sky is the limit.
Sky is the limit, benar. But then it's like I guess yang kalau di US ada this analogy in which you eat what you kill, right? As an entrepreneur di sini kalau barangnya caranya di crowdfunding, saya nggak project, ya nggak makan apa-apa kan. Intinya there is no one to feed me projects, since I need to look up for my own projects, right?
Yeah.
Or there's no project coming to Crowdana, there's no one investing, then I'm out of luck, right?
But why do you choose equity crowdfunding? Maybe because of background ya. Mungkin karena the birth of crowdfunding di US ya.
Benar.
Mungkin that's become your critical success factor. Tapi marketplace in general ya. That's one of the hardest business in the world.
Yeah.
Because you have to set up the market, kan?
Yeah.
In this case, you have
supply, project, issuer, and demand, investor.
Yeah.
Which one?
That's why you have to pushing though.
Yeah. Which one do you want first? But it's a chicken and egg problem, right?
Yeah.
As you get more investors on your platform, you get more issuers karena you guarantee them surety of funding. But if you have more good projects on the platform, you have a lot more investors willing to come in and invest with you. So what is your track record? Track record itu bagus atau enggak? I think it's more like for me, my best performing projects has always been what I've started with, which is yang rumah kos itu. Rumah kosnya
di Binus ya kalau nggak salah ya.
Yeah, di Binus ada satu, but it might be
so Binus is happy dong, ada Crowdana ya, ekosistem semua getting larger.
Maybe bisa ya, I hope so. Tapi bisa jadi Binus enggak juga. Binus kan terlalu gede, ada crowd atau enggak, doesn't really make a difference to that. But bisa jadi it's an interesting concept. Kalau bisa jadi kalau murid-muridnya Binus, mereka belajar investasi lewat ini. Yang tempat mereka tinggal sendirinya, mereka bisa di part of the ownership, mereka bisa invest juga. Dengan crowdfunding ini kan ceritanya kan ini kalau bahasa itunya kita pikirnya namanya kayak gotong royong. Gimana membangun barang bersama-sama.
Oke, that's the tagline of Crowdana juga kalau nggak salah ya.
Ya, investasi gotong royong. But it's more sebagai platform, kerjanya gimana? Kita kan sebagai platform, it's more bisa cari orang issuer sama investor. Kitanya menjadi jembatannya. Tapi sebagai... So
this business more like kita mesti create network effect sih.
Benar. Jadi, but it's more as Crowdana sih as a platform. Kasih aturan mainnya gimana? Aturan mainnya sebagai issuer, you tahu what are your obligations, maksudnya gimana? Sebagai investor, you know what are your rights. Biasa kalau investasi nggak ada aturan main atau aturan main yang nggak jelas kan, you often hear horror stories. Jadi ponzi satu, investornya nggak jelas. On the other side kan ini kan dibilangnya investornya ditilap duitnya. Pernah dengar ceritanya juga on the other side, kayak yang manajemennya diteror sama investornya nggak setiap harinya.
Teror investor gitu.
Terornya ditanya terus setiap hari, ujungnya nggak bisa kerja sampai yang manajemennya, aduh, duit bapak, saya pusing sama bapak, duit bapak saya balikin aja deh.
Duit nggak seberapa gitu mungkin.
Duit nggak seberapa, tapi nanya, it's not maybe lebih mending bukan duit nggak seberapa, it's more pertanyaannya is more like nggak merasa ini bareng, it's more like misalnya punya restoran, and then merekanya kayak datang, saya nggak suka temboknya catnya merah, bapak kasih ganti catnya biru.
Jadi it's important antara penerbit pemilik proyek UMKM dan investor di skema crowdfunding itu punya the same vision ya.
Same vision and they each know their rights. Misalnya sebagai investor, your rights-nya bisa dapat dividen jika proyeknya untung, dan hak apa bisa panggil, that's why at Crowdana kita panggil penerbitnya wajib kasih laporan setiap 3 bulan. Even though OJK regulation bilangnya kan tahunan, kita wajib bikinnya setiap 3 bulan, jadi investor tahu update-nya gimana. Dan sebagai itu as issuer, itu juga mesti datang Zoom meeting at least 3 bulan sekali. Kita undang, kita kasih forum sebagai investor. You mau tanya, di-facilitate. So it's like, please, if you have any questions atau apa, we facilitate a platform once every 3 months. Kalau nggak, kita juga ada bikin grup Telegramnya. So you feel free to ask anything on the group. Tapi yang penerbitnya dia tentu dia sibuk, nggak bisa jawab, nggak ada waktu jawabnya lama. Tapi kalau lu datang ke Zoom ini kan ada issuernya, ya it's like an IPO, setiap quarter ada public expose. You di sini ditanya, I mean as an issuer, if you want to get money from crowdfunding atau investors ini salah satu, I don't think it's I think it's an obligation atau ini kewajiban juga. Masa lu ambil duit orang?
Iya.
Nggak ada kejelasan habis 3 bulan atau ininya.
Kita mesti
tanggung jawab
kan like marriage katanya
ya.
Investor dengan investi ya. Satu yang menarik ini ya. Kita orang yang invest di crowd shares ini kan, jadi gue invest ini mana disebutnya juga luar negeri namanya angels ya.
Ya.
Nah, kalau yang tadi disebutin mungkin ini disebutnya kayaknya bukan angel tapi devil. Direcokin catnya nggak cocok. Jadi
itu kan ada horror story ya. Ada pernah dengar angel yang baik juga nggak? Ada orang invest ikut di ikut di misalnya proyek restoran. Sebelumnya misalnya saya udah suka makanan restoran ini, saya sebulan sekali pasti datang. Dengan saya ada kepemilikan ini, bisa tuh ordernya bisa pakai investor-investor ini menjadi network effect, misalnya karena investor. Saya kasih lu diskon voucher 10%, lu bisa makan ke sini. Daripada lu blanket diskon kasih semua orang lain, bisa jadi lebih mending lu kasih benefit ke investor sendiri. And the hope is that investornya, satu, saya udah suka makan tentang, saya sudah suka restoran ini, jadi saya invest. Tapi jadi sebuah pasti saya datang ke restoran ini, misalnya yang project yang saya ada itu Simhei atau Magal. Dan whatever happens, even if I'm not shareholder di sini, saya suka makanannya. Jadi sebulan sekali saya makan di sini, that's why I invest di sini. Dengan ada vouchernya, Jadi saya sebulan datang 2 kali lah. Satu karena saya sedang makan, keduanya saya ajak teman-teman saya kayak makan cake atau chips. Saya jadi teman, kamu main restoran, makannya gimana? Enak nggak? Dan bayarnya kayak diskon voucher juga.
So investor can become customer, customer become investor.
Iya, dan itu ya kan ditanya ada investor jadi angel, investor jadi devil. Ya, ada soal susah kalau ini investornya yang jadi angel kasih kupon, dia datang diajak temannya juga, terus temannya suka juga. This is the kind of thing you want, right? Jadinya network effect, how you build, how you grow the network kan. Kalau investor datang, saya investasi.
Jadi buat teman-teman yang mau bikin franchise gitu ya, jadi apakah mekanisme crowdfunding bisa menjadi salah satu opsi?
Yes, itu
karena dia juga misal dia juga udah punya investor, misalnya udah punya customer base, fan base mungkin ya, fan base itu bisa dimonetize.
Benar, it's more bukan yang dimonetize, it's more kayak misalnya franchise-nya satu toko 3M. Saya nggak punya duit 3M. Saya punya duitnya sebenarnya misalnya, saya punya duitnya 2M. Kalau saya punya duit 2M, franchisor-nya bakal dengan senang hatinya, tunggu sebentar ya, saya cariin kamu orang yang punya 1M lagi. Dan saya bakal gabungan kalian di satu ruangan atau di satu tempat, dibilangnya kayak, nih, Pak Patrick ada 2M, kamu ada 1M James, kalian berdua kan mau ikut franchise-nya saya, ikut beli franchise-nya saya, kalian berdua bikin PT, nanti PT itu beli franchise saja. Kalau amount-nya gede-gede, saya sebagai franchisor, saya mau gather orang-orang kayak gini buat beli franchise saya. Tapi kalau franchise saya jualnya 3M, saya ketemu orangnya dulu, saya nggak punya duitnya 1M atau 2M. Saya punya duitnya, maybe kalau ratusan juta, 500, 700, saya masih mau gather orang ini. Saya punya duitnya 50, 100. Saya kan mesti cari 30 orang. Dengan saya cari 30 orang kan perlu waktu. Pas saya tertarik dengan, saya tertarik dengan project ini, saya mau tanya di Februari, saya tertarik dengan franchise itu, tapi saya kurang duit gimana? Bapak beli project kita aja yang udah listing di platform ini, di platform Afrika Funding ini, berizin diawasi OJK lagi, manajemen sistemnya sama Pak, cuman sekarang Bapak belinya bisa fractionalize lebih kecil ini.
Democratize ya?
Democratize.
Nah, gimana nih sekarang kalau kita ngomong minusnya nih? Tapi minus yang positif ya, maksudnya gimana? Minus yang bisa memberikan to inspire teman-teman yang hopefully yang nonton ya, mau melangkah menjadi pengusaha atau pengusaha untuk berani mengambil risiko, calculated risk untuk membuat usaha lebih besar lagi. Jadi pernah ngalamin failure nggak?
Failure-nya yang kayak gimana? Kalau mau, I think I will share project yang nggak jalannya di Crowdana.
Mungkin from the entrepreneurial journey, kira-kira.
From the entrepreneurial journey,
if any, atau misalnya ada titik,
susah.
ada turning point.
Iya, mau entrepreneur susah karena I've only been entrepreneur for 3 years.
Okay.
I hope I don't experience failure, but you know it's eventually inevitable. Bisa jadi karena my failure, I don't hope so kan, tapi I don't think I've been an entrepreneur long enough buat experience any failure.
Ada venture sebelumnya, atau misalnya this is your first venture?
First venture yang jadi entrepreneur, because previously sebelum itu kan I worked in corporate, that's why. In corporate. Tapi kalau mau as an entrepreneur, maybe ambil project Crowdana yang nggak gitu jalan aja. Namely ini di Pertashop. Maybe this is more of a wrong way thing. It's more government regulations ya. Kalau bensin kan, at first we thought di Crowdana-nya jualan bensin benar-benar. Karena semua orang, siapa yang nggak perlu BBM kan? Tentu kalau lu BBM-nya lu cuma boleh jualnya kan di Indonesia ada beberapa BBM. Yang paling pentingnya nggak ngomong ini Pertamax sama Pertalite, atau Pertalite disubsidi. Yang kedua Pertamax nggak disubsidi. Jadi when we first started accepting this projects into Crowdana, itunya BBM-nya kayaknya Pertamax itunya harganya 6.000 dan bukan Pertalite-nya 6.000, Pertamax-nya itu 7.200. Jadi spread perbedaan mereka nggak gitu jauh. Yang pas the initial start itu bagus banget karena most of the people kalau dianya harganya sekecil berbeda kecil itu, most people yang naik motor, biasa yang Pertashop itu target market semuanya naik motor. Yang most of the people yang naik motor, mereka agnostik atau mereka nggak pikirin saya isi Pertamax atau Pertalite, karena isinya 50.000, misalnya Pertalite-nya saya dapat 50.000, 6.000, sekitar 8 literan, sama Pertamax-nya 6 literan, motornya jalannya sama, karena Pertamax is more clean burning. Tapi terakhir datang dari ini jalan, pas Pertamax harganya naiknya gila karena tadi subsidi on world oil markets, itu salesnya di Pertashop turunnya jauh banget karena it's a change of consumer behavior, belinya instead of beli Pertamax, beli Pertalite. Sekarang ya di Cloudana yang project-project itu dulu untung banget, bisa returnnya karena beli aset, beli tanah returnnya bisa sekitar 10% per tahun, sekarang minus. Karena the operational cost is higher than the itu. So far ya ininya, how do we do risk mitigation? It's mostly pas starting di depan. It's more untung kita beli, pertama kita beli asetnya, kita ada aset tanah dan bangunannya dan Pertashopnya. Kalau pertama kita itunya asetnya kita nggak beli tanahnya, kita sewa, maybe ini udah paham karena udah kebakar sewanya. After 5 years saya udah masih balikin, ya udah uang. But the other thing maybe it's more sama penerbitnya yang operatornya. Kita di Cloudana it's considered a failure, but it's not what you do. It's not about the failure itself. It's about how you pick yourself up and jalanin ini gimana. Udah fail kayak gini, ini udah nggak jalan karena bisnisnya. Reboundnya gimana? Is it lebih bagusnya?
It's a very interesting topic ya. Ini correctly ya. Most of the business, according to statistics, most of the business will fail in the first year.
Yes.
In the first year, yeah. I think that's about 90%, ya.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's either tutup udah nggak ada atau apa? Business that survive.
Okay.
Are the one that did something right.
Yeah. Terus the apa second year turun lagi nih. That's why kalau di company life cycle kan kita ada the value of debt nih.
Yeah.
Yes. Nah, Cloudana udah in the first venture, bisa ngelawatin the value of that, bisa ngelawatin pandemic juga. So what's your success factors, James?
Maybe it's more nggak bisa bilang success factors, it's more luck. A lot of it might be down to luck.
Yeah, I think luck played play a role of course ya, tapi kita nggak bisa really depend on luck.
Ya, bisa jadi like for us.
Probably maybe because you have a background di dalam capital land.
Ya, in finance is more visi misinya for us. Kalau sebenarnya itu kan CEO dan ramah juga. At the end of the day, us as financial service companies, what are you selling? Are you selling investments or selling trust? Benar kan?
We are in the business of building trust.
Building trust, benar kan? Yeah. So how do you get by trust? It's either firstly through your track record or secondly through your process. Processnya does it instill trust in people and what values you hold as a company. Maybe for us yang pentingnya itu di Cloudana itu transparency. That's why we do all the things. Laporannya mesti setiap portal ada. Jadi issuernya ini kewajiban, lu mesti datang ikut jelasin. If you can't do all that, I don't think you berhak or you should even raise fund dari investor. Dan beli itu pakai duit sendiri aja. You kan nggak siap menjelaskan ke orang.
If I conclude ya, so the success factors for Cloudana from going from crisis to another crisis ya, we can say pandemic is a crisis. So it's essential to build trust, right?
Yeah.
So that's the key success factor for Cloudana. Because well, on top of the base, first ventures, survive pandemic, survive the value of debt, and you still 31.
Yeah. Yes. And bisa jadi luck juga.
Okay.
Jangan discount luck ya.
Then don't discount luck. Okay. So what is your strategy then? Probably we start from the strategy statement, yeah. So how do you see Cloudana for the next 5 years? And how you gonna plan to achieve that?
So we hope to as a platform to be a transparent platform, and as an investor, nggak usah jauh-jauh, investor dalam sini kan intinya mau untung dong. we hope by our process to filter our issuer and penerbit would have thought yang jelek-jeleknya intinya nggak invest ini kan nggak pasti nggak semuanya untung, tapi maybe out of 10 projects the basic it's like more than 50% are winners and you hope that it increasingnya jadi nanti 70-80%. It's like ujungnya financial business kan kayak bank, NPL lu berapa? Kalau lu interest marginnya misalnya net interest margin NIM-nya 12%, kalau NPL lu 20% kan you made negative 8% return, right? If your NIM-nya 12% and your NPL cuma 1, you make 11% this year. So as Cardano, it's also the same. What's the bestnya you hope through your process and your track record, if you have skill in picking up the right penerbit, investors will come in which picking up right projects. Maybe for us expertise-nya lebih banyak di rumah kos ya, intinya we know how to pick up a good rumah kos and kita juga cari dapat operatornya yang pas. And the other thing, the important thing is being transparent to investors, no sugarcoating. Ya, ini yang performanya jelek, ya jelek.
It is what it is.
It is what it is.
It is what
I'm not going to try to sugarcoat atau bikin dibagusin atau apa. Because at the end of the day, if it's misalnya projectnya sebenarnya rugi, tapi lu bagusin supaya dapat investor lagi, then it's a very slippery slope. Ujung-ujungnya you're running a Ponzi scheme kan, pakai duit investor baru buat banyak investor lama.
Yes. So, jadi if I may conclude ya, so to build a successful business, first is trust. Okay. Ini relate to my what I see previously ya, Sandiaga Uno. Bang Sandiaga Uno juga dia pernah ngomong, I remember dia pernah ngomong di acara HIPMI, kebetulan my senior di HIPMI juga. Jadi dia bilang modal pertama adalah trust. Jadi dia ngomong kepada ketum HIPMI gitu ya. Jadi dengan trust itu bisa menjaga amanah. Masih banyak lagi orang mau kasih duit. So jadi trust, building company is all about trust. Bagaimana kita, tapi building trust itu mungkin gampang ya, tapi maintain trust itu juga mungkin
trust is like those kind of things, right?
Yes.
Difficult to build, easy to break, right? Biasanya lu kasih track record-nya udah bagus, tapi give
orang 5 seconds to build reputation.
Give orang give orang 1-2 bad projects and then they realize mereka mikirnya suddenly yang project yang untungnya lokasi 7 ada 2 project yang jelek. Suddenly mereka lupa project ini ingatnya cuma 2-nya kan. But I think it's sebagai orang juga sama kan. People remember their losses more than their winners, right?
Yeah. Pasti is human. Satu lagi dari work ethic Sandiaga Uno ya, Bang Sandiaga Uno ya. Always remember ya, kerja keras, kerja ikhlas, kerja tuntas. So what's your take on that?
Kerja keras, kerja ikhlas, kerja tuntas. Yes. Masih ada semuanya kan. I think even
it's a good motto.
It's a good motto. Orangnya bilangnya bisa jadi you can work smart. Tapi katanya ingatnya kan work smart kan.
Yes.
Bukannya lazy smart kan. Lazy smart nggak ada hasil juga kan. Work smart pun
masih kerja kan. Probably like on luck.
Iya, like on luck. That's why ada katanya work kan. Work hard, work smart, and then you get a lot more. Kalau lu work smart tapi nggak kerja pun juga nol juga kan. Ini ya itu.
So consistency is
penting. Jadi kerja keras, kerja ikhlas, kerja tuntas
yang kita discuss Warren Buffett yang to build trust take 20 years, but to win it juga mungkin only take 5 seconds ya.
Ya. Kenapa 5 seconds kalau nggak 2 seconds?
2 seconds ya, even faster ya. Tapi kalau kita dengan coba kita ngomong konsistensi ya, Warren Buffett, he start investing from 11.
Ya.
Tapi he don't make name until he got 50 ya.
Ya.
But he even more name, dia umur 65. Now I think it's about 90.
Ya.
Kalau nggak salah. I cannot imagine ya kalau misalnya at 65 dia pensiun gitu. Mungkin nggak kayak Warren Buffett saat ini.
Ya, Warren Buffett balik lagi, it's more yang you kerja, even though banyak orang bilang follow your passion itu you need to be a realist. But kalau lu sebenarnya passionate about something, maybe it's balik lagi ke bang Sandiaga bilang, kerja keras, kerja ikhlas, kerja tuntas. Kalau you punya passion something, you don't feel like kata kerjanya nggak ada. Oh, saya senang aja kayak gini.
Yes,
Benar kan?
yeah.
Without passion in what you do.
Iya, ini juga pernah
itunya.
Buffett pernah ngomong juga 90% dari worker di Berkshire Hathaway itu sebenarnya mereka 90% tuh financial freedom. They don't have to work. They have millions. Tapi mereka still working on the weekends. Ya, I think kalau kita ngomong leadership ya, I think Warren Buffett is one of the
best leaders. So intinya company culture-nya itu sangat bagus. It's not.
Oh, so you're talking about company cultures ya? How do you build your culture at Crodana?
I think it's I guess kan I lulusan Amerika. It's more of the maybe American way. Sometimes it works and it doesn't work.
Is it cowboy way? Or is it more?
It's more bisa lebih mending kayak orangnya. I want someone to believe in the mission, what Crodana is trying to do, democratize investments kayak gini, and doing a good job. Bisa jadi bukannya orang should be here because they want to be here, not because they need to be here for the money. Bisa jadi kayak gitu. Money is one thing, tapi I hope that orang-orang company culture-nya yang kayak sukses kayak Buffett tadi yang bilangnya people making millions, but then they still come to work on weekend. Kenapa? Maybe because their sense of belonging tinggi. They feel they're part of something.
Sense of ownership-nya ada ya.
Yeah.
Engage with the company.
Iya, they are part of something greater gitu. Itu salah satu. Dan bisa jadi juga company culture-nya bagus. I just want to be here. I want to be associated with Berkshire. I hope dari my employee, I want to be associated with Crodana. Crodana itu company bagus to work for, and I really believe that Crodana is doing, I guess, some, as well as making money, they're making doing something good for society. Yang orang
social value
yang orang dulu nggak bisa invest, karena orang bisa belajar invest gimana gitu.
Okay. So entrepreneurship is all about profit and social values, right?
Yeah.
How do you balance between profit and social?
I think by the nature itself, being in the securities crowdfunding atau gotong royong ini carries a lot of social value. Intinya sebelum ini yang orang banyak kan datang ke kita, UMKM itu memang susah dapat kredit atau fundingnya memang susah.
They still underserved from conventional.
Underserved, but bisa jadi mereka underservednya karena it's hard to filter orang-orang kayak gini. And I think the biggest test yang kita cari issuer itu pertamanya karakter dirinya gimana. Kalau memang karakternya udah siap mencuri, ya rada susah kan kayak gini. Funding ini, no matter what happens, this thing will fail and will not generate the return.
So, I'm interested in talking about the American way of building cultures. Okay. Is it more like a leadership type of culture, or is more like a boss type of culture?
That
is it work in Indonesia?
That I don't know. I'm still trying to figure out yang ini. I try to be, maybe it's more lebih pentingnya diskusi leader sama bos bedanya apa? Benar kan? Maybe a boss rules by fear. Everyone is, I want to get this done kayak gini. A leader, I want to get this done. He tells you the big picture. Kenapa kayak gini. Sometimes in Indonesia tergantung ngomongin ke siapa ya. If you hire the people-nya does not have the educational background to back it up, maybe sometimes it's better to be a boss. Intinya they also don't care about your big vision more apa. They just need to know what to do. But maybe when you're speaking with partners or sama kayak issuers ini, it's more alignnya menjadi leader. It's more aligning vision. Ininya mesti gimana.
I think both related. They both have a plus and minus.
Yeah.
But which one is more suitable for Indonesia nih? Paling cocok nih kira-kira nih. Kita di Indonesia nih. Kalau misalnya di American way,
the American way pasti leader. Di Indonesia it seems like kayaknya boss lebih cocok ya.
Boss lebih cocok more dominant atau 50-50?
I think given the size of population and educational background, it's more boss. Most people here they like to be told what to do. Jadi intinya it's not they like intinya the boss is always right. You know the right answer. Boss mau apa aja.
Indonesia
terserah
culture
bos.
kita lebih more, correct me if I'm wrong ya, we have to be more responsive leadership ya.
Yeah.
Jadi kita respond based on
Based on the feedback, it's like sometimes you need to put
or you have to balance between sometimes you have to be a leader, sometimes you have to be a boss, or
I think it's a balance itu penting. Sometimes you really need to understand when to step back and be a leader and inspire. When sometimes you cannot inspire kalau deadline intinya ya saya bos lu, saya mau ini selesai malam ini. Ya, bisa apa enggak? Kalau nggak bisa,
otoriter.
iya. Kalau nggak bisa,
Iya.
itunya di sono.
Oke.
Jadi this is when I need you, bisa atau enggak? Kalau nggak bisa, daripada ngomong banyak-banyak, malam ini sekali lu keluar aja.
This is very interesting. The know that way. My boss and my mentor is one of the owners from Yunus, and he built the culture in Yunus is very interesting. He tried to hire expat from I think kalau nggak salah either UK atau either Australia. Oke, di Yunus di Anggrek you have this kind of culture. Di Yunus di Icam you have this kind of culture. And my boss said to this expat guy, I know exactly we have the culture. That's why we hire you. So if you can't with this culture, the door is that way. So you have to be blunt talking to expat here. So
Yeah.
so this is something that I learned here. We hire people to solve to our problem. If you cannot solve to our problem, so what is hiring you? So I think you seem like my mentor. Yeah. Okay. The door is that way. So yeah, we just have to be blunt.
Sometimes you need to be prepared, running to pull the trigger. As balik lagi kan tanya entrepreneur ada plus ada minusnya. This is one of the minus. One of the minusnya it's intinya kan you don't know what you're gonna eat. Rice bowl lu nggak terjamin. The second thingnya bisa jadi tapi you need to make difficult decisions. Ini orang nggak cocok, you need to cut. Tapi pas di cutnya dia ngomong, Pak, saya boleh sebulan lagi nggak? Saya belum ada apa-apa, nanti saya makan apa? But if it's toxic, should you hold another month and risk kapal tenggelam dari ini orang?
Yes, yeah. Being entrepreneurs, that we have to face, we have to make tough decision every day, and this is something that we have to eat for breakfast.
Yeah.
Okay. So do you have apa nih tentang leadership, something yang you can share to the audience? Kalau if they want to build a company, an Indonesian company, how should they position themselves?
I think it's a good.
Kapan jadi leader? Kapan jadi waktu jadi bos?
I think it's a good mix to have. Kapan it's to find balance. When it comes to make difficult decision about termination or HR, this is when you need to be a boss. This is what I want, and get it done kayak gini. Jadi when it comes to be a leader, maybe when the team is being down, they need someone inspiring. Remember guys, missionnya kita apa gitu. Because at the end of the day, when the team is down and you don't inspire them to jadi boss, everyone will just say, the door's that way, see ya boss.
Yeah. So jadi teman-teman ya, we have to balance between boss and leadership. Kita bicara tentang, so what's your leadership style, James?
I think it's more of a combination, but it's more karena itunya bisa jadi trying to be more of a leader, jadinya kesannya buat ini terlalu baik ya. So I need to build out more of the boss side and more of the authoritarian style.
So if you can choose, Steve Jobs, Musk, Gates, who's your favorite? Who's the closest leadership to your style? Or apart from that we just mentioned?
Maybe it's more who I want to be ya. Kayak who I want to be. Maybe it's more like kayak bisa jadi kayak Mas. It's more sometimes it's more inspiring, but he makes hard decision when it's how to say when it comes to he will sleep on the factory floor. Yang Twitter will terminate semua orang kayak gini. Maybe is it what the company needs right now? Nobody knows. It's a hard decision, right? We can only see other ways. Kayak Steve Jobs, leadershipnya bagus, but it's more kadang kalau jadi authoritarian, micromanager, and maybe people don't like being around him. Maybe sometimes when you want to
sorry as an asshole.
Yeah, if you want to be sometimes kalau if you're too authoritarian, too much like a boss, you tended up being called an a-hole. Susah yang itunya juga. I don't want to be seen as that. I want to be firm but not unreasonable.
So you were saying try to be like Mas, but Mas, even though he had 100 million at the time selling salt, pepper, he still doesn't have money for rent. I have to borrow money for rent, I heard, Plus the dedication, Even he received call at 3 a.m. in the morning, he doesn't care. Just work. So, are you going that way? Or is it, or you must go that way? Or because must the way I know kalau nggak salah dia tuh jarang take vacation.
Yeah, but you want should we go that way? Maybe this is a question that two of us will answer, right?
Yeah.
Maybe we should, right? Kalau nggak duitnya nggak sebanyak dia kan?
Yeah. So work ethic is important,
Okay, it's important.
Work ethic and building trust.
Yeah.
Okay. So thank you, James. Okay, we try to close it up here. Crowdfunding industry. This is fairly embryonic phase.
Yeah, very new.
Okay. How do you see this industry in the next 3 years and the next 5 years?
I think di sini 3 years the main problem. You're also the CEO of Dalamak, right? Sama both of us are in the same sector. I think the biggest sector we face here it's not sometimes as an entrepreneur it's nice like what you said, platform business kan susah. Lu ada supply sama lu ada demand.
To set up the market ya.
To set up the market. Sekarang di crowdfunding pusingnya dua-duanya kan, bukannya on one side, right? It could be as an entrepreneur, I have the supply, I just want to deal with demand. As SCF ini and the industry, what does it face? It face most of the good penerbit doesn't want to come to you because they don't know you're new. The issue yang you dapat itu nih intinya dia udah ke A, B, C, D semuanya mau dapat funding, nggak dikasih funding, that's why he comes to you. So how do you filter out all these people yang ada miss out some of the big banks sebenarnya orang bagus, they fell through the crack, miss out, jadi dunia nggak dapat issue kayak gini. On the second side, kan ada investor, kenapa gue mesti invest di security company? It's like, is it bisa ikut patungan beli rumah kos? Is it that attractive? Or it's biasanya kalau rumah kos property kan it's very binary, right? It's either fixed cost yang gede kan, it's either saya punya 3M rumah kos saya punya sendiri, or I don't own a rumah kos at all. Or in terms of investment, kenapa saya mau beli propertinya yang rumah kos ini? Nggak lebih bagus kalau return misalnya 8% per tahun daripada capital gain juga misalnya di hitung-hitungnya 10. Is it better saya beli properti ini atau saya beli bond, fixed rate bond aja yang 10% juga? So I think it's more education. Like no one knows that this product is available on the market.
Okay, that's the challenge.
That's the challenge. How I see it in 3 years to 5 years, I think it's stage-nya kayak P2P masih belum jadi dapat acceptance. Although P2P sekarang udah kena acceptance, maybe it's in the wrong space-nya karena a lot of bad issue dari P2P ada default ini dan cara koleksinya nggak benar gitu. Maybe it's all down to all of us as industry players, ada asosiasinya juga, how we want to shape and grow this industry-nya barangnya gimana. Maybe ada common framework, or intinya yang dulu terakhir di Aludi kita ada bikin misalnya ada we try to make a penerbit blacklist to prevent, ya intinya kalau di banking kan ada Slack kan,
Yeah. So kita dari penerbit ya,
by banking culture, if you want to default with BCA, lu datang ke bank kecil pun, wah lu udah default di sini, kenapa datang ke sini, kenapa gua kasih loan lagi? Jadi tetap dikasih loannya karena ada bank kecilnya perlu bisnis. Loannya udah dikasih, tapi dianya risk mitigationnya ada cara lain nih. Kalau over collateralize misalnya, dia mau pinjam 1 M, minta collateral 10, maybe that's a risk that the smaller bank is willing to take. Kalau if you're a big bank kayak BCA, wah nggak perlu lah, lebih mending daripada over collateralize ini return yang seberapa, saya nggak usah aja, saya nggak perlu pinjam itu, ada customers.
Okay.
Benar kan? It comes to that. Dengan blacklist itu, it might be to prevent penerbit yang udah ada masalah di platform misalnya kalau Dana, datang ke Danawa, hey, I want funding sini, bersih nggak? Bersih ya, no problem at all.
Ya. So, last gitu ya. Bagaimana ngomong ke audiens ke teman-teman ya yang lagi nonton, bagaimana untuk motivate mereka untuk menjadi entrepreneurs, mudah mau taking the first step jadi pengusaha.
I think it really depends on what you want. It's like I think it's a good thing to figure out sendiri in life. Do you want to be I guess well off or rich? Itu maybe money is the biggest motivator, right?
Yeah.
Kalau kerjanya well off, jadi if you work as a corporate job, gajinya gede, you're well off, but maybe you're not as rich as your friends yang jadi entrepreneur karena upside-nya unlimited kan. But then it's also sebagai orang, what do you want in life? Is it, do you want the freedom? If you're an entrepreneur, you have a lot of freedom. Yang how to be entrepreneur?
Just
I guess the freedom, but I guess the journey is not easy, but it's fun in its own way. Jadi sometimes kalau best advice-nya, if you want to be an entrepreneur, better to do it sooner rather than later. Karena the more your income goes up, lu merasa jadi you have more to lose and you never take that first step necessary to become one, right? Kayak misalnya if you are right now gajinya masih 5 juta,
start early.
Ya, gajinya masih 5 juta. If I give up my salary, nothing much to lose, right? Cuma 5 juta per bulan, is either di sini, is either I make money or not, right?
Before when you start Dana ya, berarti sebelum berkeluarga ya. Is it one of the factor ya?
Yes, it might be because
So
if sebelum berkeluarga, nggak ada tanggungan, jadi gue pikir
you have freedom to fail.
ya nggak ada tanggungan, nggak ada pemikiran.
Like Mark Zuckerberg ya.
Iya.
You have freedom to fail. Jadi jadi that's the biggest luxury ya.
Ya.
Being an entrepreneur.
Ya. Itu benar sekali. So it might be, that's why better start sooner rather than later, right?
So jadi better start now. Okay, better start now. Start building trust and consistency.
I think the key is like how to inspire people. Maybe the journey might not be easy, but I think it's fulfilling and rewarding in its own way. And if you believe in life, you should always never stop learning, right? Maybe even in failures, you learn something, right?
Yes.
And so next time,
I heard quoting from Bill Gates, success is a lousy teacher.
yeah,
Yeah.
jadi it's luck, right? You don't know what you did, right?
Okay. So never stop learning. That's the key of being entrepreneurs. Ini yang starting first ventures di bawah 30, sukses lewat pandemi, udah disburse lebih dari 80 miliar. So kudos to you.
Thank you.
Okay.
And kudos to you. Please keep in touch.
Okay. Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Good night.